everybody, welcome back to the 2018 Granny Square Crochet Along. Today we are making this diagonal C2C, corner to corner, also known as the box or block, one or the other. But more commonly known nowadays as the c2c. So this is what we're making. Obviously you can make it in other colours if you prefer, and you can do you know, more stripy rows if you like, but we're just keeping with this nice sort of half and half diagonal today. You may have already seen number 47 square, which was the heart c2c, or number 50, which was my birthday cake square. This is just the two colour changes, and it means there's only 4 ends. I haven't sewn them in yet, so you've just got 2 ends for each colour, and it's just so simple. There is only one place you're changing colour when you swap over to your, like when I swapped over to my red. So nice and simple. I've just finished making this with you just now, so I'm skipping to do the beginning at the end as I've done before. So this is what we're doing today. The only other thing, you will need some scissors if you're changing colour, your hook and a stitch marker could be quite useful. I've been marking where my right side is down in this bottom corner. Just helps you to know which is which and what's what, because you do sort of hold it in this way and that way and all around. So there you go, this is what we're doing today. So grab your things, and you might want to grab a cup of tea as well, and let's get going. So to do our diagonal C2C, corner to corner, we're first going to make up the increasing rows, and then when you get to halfway you decrease to make the rest of the square. We're doing like 2 triangles effectively. So you want to start with your slip knot, and then you're going to do 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then your third chain down, 1, 2, 3, sorry, your fourth chain, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to do a double crochet and a double crochet in the next, and a double crochet in the third, and that is your first block. We make C2C up basically in blocks that look a bit square. This doesn't look very square at the moment, but it will when we start to add to it. So that is the basic block of a corner to corner. So to make our second row, we're going to have 2 blocks. So we're going to chain 6, 2, 3. Maybe handy to pop your finger on the third one so you don't have to count, and then another 3. So 6 chains, and then I've got my finger on this third one up or fourth one down, and you're going to do 3 double crochet again. So 1 in each. 1, 2, oops, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that is your second block, or your first block of your second row. So now we need to join this block to our first block. So let me just untangle this. Sorry guys and girls. So what you're going to do is flip this block up. Okay, so you've got these 2 blocks like this. This first one, flip it up, and then in this chain space, what your chain space is, pop your hook in there and do a slip stitch, and that joined your 2 blocks. Okay, now corner to corner is pretty much reversible, because as you can probably see if you look at your work now, you've got 1 block with C in the back, 1 block with C in the front, And if we turn it over, then obviously it's exactly the same, the front and the back. And that happens, the rows alternate. You'll have a row of front, diagonal rows, you'll have a row of right side, row of wrong side, row of right, row of wrong. And if you're doing an actual pattern, which we're not, we're just going to do a diagonal colour change. But if you were doing a pattern, it's useful to know which is the front. It can sometimes get a bit confusing because you're sort of moving your work all around. So this is how we are at the moment. We've just done our slip stitch. So what I suggest, turn it over, and you've got your first block here. Now I know that my my tail from my slip knot comes down here to the right. If you're left-handed, you've most likely got it on the other side. Because then I've got my chain of 6 here, 3 and 3. So I know this is the bottom right hand corner, and that's generally the way we start on a c2c. If we're right-handed, we start in the bottom right hand corner, and then it grows up, 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 and then it comes across and joins in the top left. So I've turned it over, I've got the right side of my work facing me. The other thing is, you'll notice you have the right side facing you, and your stitches are going horizontally, and then on the wrong side they're going vertically. Okay, so this way and that way. So what I'm going to do is just pop this stitch marker, let's pull that out. I'm going to pop this stitch marker on the front of my work. So I'm just going to pop this through this couple of stitches here, and then I know that that's my front. If I can get that to click in there, there we go. So I now know that there's nothing on the back there. I know this is my front, bottom right hand corner. Okay, and it can just help, especially for the future, if you do sort of graph gowns and things where you have lots of work going on. Okay, so that's just your handy hint there. Let's do our second block of this row. Okay, so turn your work back over. This is where we were on the back, and what you're going to do now is work into, you've done your slip stitch here, and you're going to work into this chain space and do a chain 3, and then 3 double crochet, 3 double crochet. Okay, so you've made this chain space that we had here automatically. So now you've got your first row with 1 and your second row with 2. Time for the third row. So we're still increasing and working our way up to our 9 squares. So chain 3 and another 3, so chain 6, and then in this third chain up you're going to do a double crochet and a double crochet in the next, and a double crochet in the next. So you now have your chain 3 and 3 double crochet. So then what you're going to do again is you are going to take this work here and flip it up, bring this excuse me, bring this over, and in your chain space do a slip stitch. There we go. So then you might want to fold this square down out of the way, and now you're going to do the rest of your row, which is a chain 3 and 3 double crochet. 1, 2 and 3. And then you can see this block's already here, so you're just going to slip stitch into this chain space to join, and then do your block exactly the same as you just did the last one. Chain 3 and 3 double crochet. 2 and 3. Okay, now it does automatically have these gaps, which they do sort of join a bit closer as you work along. They obviously they sort of stretch a bit as you work in them, but that's just part of the pattern. There are suggested ways on the internet. If you look, people say don't do as many chains and whatever, but I suggest that you just go with this pattern, which is the basic pattern, and then if you decide that you don't like all the gaps, that you just, you know, change it up a bit. But this is the basic c2c pattern, which is what we're going to do. So you're going to increase again, so 6 chains, 1 2 3 4 5 6, double crochet into the 4th one down or the 3rd one up, 1, double crochet into the next, 2, and a double crochet into the next. Oops. Sometimes your chains get a little bit tight, just wiggle that in. So there's 3, so flip this lot up and do your slip stitch in this chain 3 space. And you can see now you've got 1 2 3 4. This is the start of row 4. Let's get some more yarn. Okay, and then just as before, you're going to do chain 3, 3 double crochet, 1 2 3, all in that chain space there. Okay, and then you're going to move straight over into the next chain space and do your slip stitch, and then you're going to again do chain 3, 3 double crochet, then you'll be level with this one to do your slip stitch and do chain 3, 3 double crochet, and I'll meet you when you've done those last 2 blocks. Here we go, this is our row 4 done, and we know that because we've got 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 that way. Okay, and there's 4 going down. So if we turn it over to the right side, this is how it would look. Got your steps here. So excuse me, moving on, we're still increasing, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 chains, and then in your 1 2 3 4th chain down or 3rd chain up, double crochet. And this is exactly what you're going to do on each row. So when we increase the row, we do our chain 6, and we're going to be working up to 9 rows. So there you go, and then you're going to flip this up, bring this over and do your slip stitch into your chain space, and then as before do a chain 3 and then your 3 double crochet, bring it over and do your slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and do the same with these 2 until you have 5 blocks on your row. Okay, so I now have 5 each way, diagonally 5 blocks. So it's time for row 6. So we've got row 6, 7, 8 and 9 to go. You're going to do these rows exactly the same. You're going to start with a chain 6 and then do your 3 double crochet into those last 3 chains, and then continue along doing your slip stitch to join it to the next block, and that's exactly what you're going to do for the next 1 2 3 4 5, so you know, 6 7 8 and 9, 4 more rows until you have 9 blocks going both ways, and you'll have 9 blocks going across diagonally. Okay, if you need a reminder, just rewind the video a few minutes until I show you the start of a row, but I think by now you probably have got the hang of it, that you're just going to chain 6 and then do your 3 double crochets into those last 3 chains, and then you're going to slip stitch into the next block and continue from there. So like I said, rewind if you need to, do those last 4 rows until you've got 9 blocks in both directions, this way and this way, and I will see you back then. And just to remind you, at the start of row 6, when you've done your first block, the way to join is you just take this work and flip it up, and then you're kind of level to do your slip stitch into your first chain 3 space. Okay. Okay, you should have 9 blocks by now, or should I say when you've got 9 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is halfway, and that should be about 6 inches. So there we go, 6 inches. Took me some trial and error of I was making up some c2c blocks back in February. You might have done our heart, which is number 47, or the birthday cake, which is number 50, and I was experimenting with how big we needed it to be. So 9 blocks is about 6 inches, using a 4.5mm hook and DK worsted weight or light worsted weight yarn, roughly. Depends how loose or how tight you hook, but yeah, 9 blocks is about 6 inches, which is the size of, we say all our squares come up to around 6 inches. Yeah, so there is half of our square. We now need to do the second half, which we're calling this the diagonal c2c. So we're going to do a colour change for the second half. Obviously you can change colour for each row if you like, or every second row. You can do exactly, you know, whatever you like. And as I said, we've done a heart one, we've done the birthday cake, which involved, you know, making a design. We're kind of keeping this a bit more simple today, with still doing a colour change, but just having a nice simple half and half. So now that you're down here, you are going to fasten off this colour. So fasten off this colour. If you want to do your block all in one colour, then obviously don't fasten off, keep that colour on there, and I'll show you what you need to do. But we're going to change colour, so I'm going to grab my second colour and show you how and where to join that in. Okay, so we basically want to join where we finished, but we don't want to increase this way any further. So what we're going to do is join in this chain space here. So we've got our last block and we've got our chain space here, because our next, the first block we make is going to be in this space here, okay? Because then we're going to be, because we've, sorry, try and get my words out. We've been increasing to 9, and now this is as wide as we want it to be, as wide and as long as we want it to be. So we've been going, row 1 is 1 block, row 2 is 2, 3 is 3, so on. Now we're going to be on row 10, and this actually is only 8 blocks. So now we're going to be decreasing, so it's going to be 8, then 7, then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Finally, as we started with 1 here, we're going to end with 1 over in this corner. Okay, so our next block will be in this space here. If you are keeping the same colour, what you need to do is turn your work, and let me just take this off the hook, turn your work over, and you need to, using this obviously you'll have your yarn on your hook, you need to slip stitch across each of these stitches. So 1, 2 stitches there, because you'll have your yarn coming up from here. Okay, so you're going to do a slip stitch in these 2 stitches, and then a slip stitch into your chain space. Okay, so 1 slip stitch, 2 slip stitches, 3rd slip stitch in your chain space. So you'll be in this chain space and ready to work. And we will be working from the back. Okay, so this is the back. We'll be working this way, so we'll be doing our chain 3 up here. Okay, so assuming you are sticking with with doing the colour change as I am doing to make your diagonal colour change, you turn your work over so it's on the back. So here's my front, so I'm on the back now. Okay, now turn it this way. So we're by this chain 3 of our last block. So you fastened off here in this corner, and then you're going to go into this chain 3 space here, and just join in your new colour with a slip stitch. Oops, let's do that on camera. There we go. So join in there with a slip stitch. And now you can work over your tail a little bit if you like. I know some of you prefer to sew them in at the end, entirely up to you. So now, because we're going to be decreasing, we don't need to do a chain 6 to start with, because we've only got to do our chain 3 to bring it up to the height of our next 3 double crochet. Okay, if that sounds a bit confusing, don't worry. Do a chain 3, and then over this chain space, as all the blocks you've done before, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2 and 3 double crochet, and there is your first block of your new colour. So then go over to your next block and join with a slip stitch, just as you have done on previous rows, and then chain 3, and then 3 double crochet over that chain space, just as you've done in previous rows. Nothing different, nothing any more harder or complicated. Move over to the next one and do a slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet, oops, 2, 3 double crochet, over to the next block, slip stitch, 3 chains, 3 double crochet, 1, 2 and oops, 3 double crochet. Next block, slip stitch, chain 3, oops, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochet, 2, 3, more yarn. Okay, so you're going to slip stitch into this one, and then you're going to do 1, 2, 3 more blocks. Okay, so slip stitch here and then do 3 blocks, and I'll meet you to turn your work. Okay, when you've done your 3rd block, which will be here next to, not above, because that would make 10 blocks in this row, in this side. So when you've done your last block, do your slip stitch to join it to this block in your previous colour, and then what you're going to do is turn your work over, and then, as I said to you, sorry, I'm going to turn the other way. As I said to you, if you were sticking with the same colour, that you would down here, that you'd have to slip stitch across. Then I'm going to show you that now. I didn't actually show you it before. So what you're going to do is do a slip stitch across every stitch here. So 1, 2, 3. So do a slip stitch across those 3 stitches, and then a slip stitch in your chain space, and that makes brings your working yarn to your chain space where you need to be to do your next block. Oh dear, getting all my words muddled today. So you're going to start your next block in exactly the same way as before. You're going to chain 3 and then do 3 double crochet over this chain in that chain space. Okay, and then there's no more flipping your work up. You're just going to move over and slip stitch into that block next to it, and then do your chain 3. Oops, it's happening again, guys. Okay, and then 3 double crochet over that chain, and that is all there is to it when you're doing decrease rows. So slip stitch into this one, and then do your chain 3 and 3 double crochet. So we did 8 blocks on this first row of our new colour. This next row we're doing 7, so we've done 2 already. So you're going to do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Always stopping next to your previous block, not above. Okay, so do 5 more blocks, and then I'll show you again how we turn our work. So I'll see you back at the end of the row. Okay, so I have my 7 blocks done now. So turn your work over and then do a slip stitch across each stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1 in that chain 3 space. Okay, that's all you have to do to be ready to do your next row, and then you're going to continue exactly the same as before. So you're going to chain 3 and then do your 3 double crochets, slip stitch over to here, chain 3, 3 double crochet, slip stitch, and you're going to do 6 blocks this time, and then at the end of the row you are going to turn your work and do your slip stitch across, just as we did here, slip stitch across those 3 stitches and into your chain space. So you're going to do that on the next row, and you're going to do that every row until you get down to your final block. So I'm going to leave you to do that. If you need a reminder of how to do that slip stitch across, then just rewind about 1.5 minutes to watch that again. So you're going to do 6, then 5, then 4, 3, 2, and your last block. I'll meet you back to do the final block. Okay, I've just done my last slip stitches across to do my final block, my top corner. How good is this looking? Love it, love it, love it, love it. So you know what to do. So just chain 3 and do your last block. So if you would like the written pattern for this, or any of our other squares, the details of the Facebook group are in the description below. There's a link there for it, and any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comments section below or on the Facebook group. I'd love to see photos of what you've done, so please, if you've not already joined our group, then come and join our group and show me your squares in our Facebook group. I'd love to see what colours you've chosen to do for your squares. So the only thing now is to finish off. Now you have a choice, it's personal preference. You can either finish off, fasten off exactly where you are here, which will be sort of in the middle of these 2 blocks, or if you want to, like on this side, it was right in the corner. If you want to join, if you want to fasten off in the corner, then just turn and slip stitch across to the corner and fasten off in that corner. But it really doesn't bother me, so I'm just going to fasten off here, and then I shall sew those, what have we got, 4 ends, sew those 4 ends in later while I'm watching the TV, probably with another cup of tea. So there you go, let's turn this round. Here we go, here's our bottom right corner, but obviously you could turn this any way you choose. You could have it that way or that way, and like I said, it is pretty much reversible, because you've just got these blocks going to the right way, wrong way, right way, wrong way, like this, so like that. So it's great. You just have to decide the front and the back for sewing in your ends. So obviously wherever you sew your ends, there's going to be a little bit of something going on. So anyway, I'm going to stop waffling and leave you with that. So beautiful, lovely, simple, corner to corner, C to C, diagonal. And if you found this useful, helpful, please click that like button and give us a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time. Just keep cooking and don't let your tea get cold.